Hello, Jeff, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. What can we help with?
Aaron, how you doing? Nice to hear from you again today.
Well, I appreciate the call.
I've got a transmission. I got a transmission question. I was listening to what you told John.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a '97 Tahoe. I bought brand new. Got probably 150,000 miles, and I've done what you said. I've done the flushes its whole life. I've never dropped the pan.
Mm-hmm.
Does not leak. Does not have a shifting problem. But it's time to do the fluid service again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking I should put the filter in this time.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing what you just said, maybe I won't.
Mm-hmm.
With those kind of miles, what do you think?
How does the fluid look? Is it really burnt looking, or does it have just a tinge of discoloration?
Just a tinge of discoloration.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had it since it was new. I'm the only one that's ever worked on it. And the fluid's good. It shifts fine. I just thought it would be time to do it again.
Yeah, and I agree that the fluid does need to be changed. But I also would not recommend replacing the filter. If the fluid is really burnt, that means something's wrong anyway. And in doing that, it's going to need more. It probably would be having some type of symptoms of problems that are either there or something will be coming up if it's really burnt looking. But if it's just discolored, that means you're not going to have that much debris in there enough to clog up a filter anyway.
Okay.
And you've serviced it before or had fluid exchanges done before. You're just coming due for it again. No, I would not remove that pan because you're kind of mentioning what I like to say. That factory seal, if you can ever keep it, you'll always be thankful, because once that pan comes off one time, it is hard to get that factory seal back to where you don't have any leaks at all. So I would do it a good fluid exchange, and that way you'll be changing all the fluid, not just half of the fluid. And I believe you'll find you'll continue to get some good miles out of that transmission. And that's perfect, because you saying that is exactly what I try to let people know is vehicles that have the fluid has not been replaced, they come in at somewhere 125. Now this is on this vehicle, somewhere around 125, 150. They definitely need a transmission. If not before then, actually it's somewhere between 100 and 140,000 miles. And they end up needing a transmission replaced, because when they're coming in, they either don't have a reverse, or it's not going into high gear, or something's happening. And a fluid exchange is not going to fix that. That's all. It's too late. But on those that have had the fluid exchange done, they're doing more like you're doing, coming in and just having another fluid exchange. So that's a great thing what you've done in the past. And so you have had this vehicle since it was new.
Yeah, I ordered it brand new.
Wow. You do like I do with a car. When you buy one, you get married to it.
And I was in the car business, right? Made my living selling new cars to people, and yet I buy one car and hold on to it.
I do the same. I love to now. If my needs change, well, like my wife and I, we kept minivans we drove several minivans, but every one of them we would keep for a lot of years. I mean, and put a lot of miles on them.
Yeah.
And we finally moved out of the minivan stage. She was very happy for that, and so she moved into the SUV stage. So if my needs change, I'll get another car. But if not, I love driving the same car.
I got a question about if you a condition that might make filter changes needed in a transmission. If you had someone, say Jeff here had a Tahoe, and he was pulling landscape trailers behind it all the time, or boats and so forth a lot up and down hills, would that accelerate the wear of the clutches or the metal material in the trans that might then make you say, hey, your 150,000-mile Tahoe, because of the severe duty usage you had, might have contributed to a more aggressive clogging of the filter?
That is a great question, because what happens, it's not the extra pulling that causes the wear, the main part of the wear in a transmission. What happens when you're pulling a boat or a trailer or doing heavy duty use, the fluid gets hotter. When the transmission fluid gets hot, that's when it breaks down. That's when it loses its viscosity. So it's not necessarily the pulling that does it. It's the fluid loses its viscosity much earlier, and so that's what causes the wear, because you have those fast moving parts that the fluid can't lubricate as well as it should. So it's more important than the filter on vehicles like you're talking about to change the fluid more often. For instance, you may see one that's under heavier loads replace the fluid every 25, 30,000 miles. You may see one that's under light duty that the fluid still looks great at 50,000 miles, or not light duty, but regular duty, just normal driving in normal temperatures. And it's the heat that breaks the fluid down. That's the reason that you can have two identical cars with the same year model, everything, same transmission, everything, and one might go 50,000 miles and the fluid still be just look like brand new, and the other one might be dark, and because one might be driven harder or either pulling loads. So if that fluid has not been changed in, say, 100,000 miles, 125,000 miles, yes, I would pull it, but you're more than likely going to end up, I would replace the filter, but more than likely you're going to end up with some transmission issues anyway.
So real aggressive-minded individual with an older vehicle might look for a transmission temperature sender if such a thing's used. I guess the newer ones might have that.
many later model vehicles,
see how you're
especially
doing.
trucks. Many trucks have transmission fluid temperature gauges. Yeah. But it's that temperature that makes the big difference. And so many times people can tell when it's time themselves. If you got 30,000 miles on a truck and you remove the dipstick and you put it on a white napkin and it looks a little bit dark looking, it's time.
You even mentioned a skilled person like yourself can actually feel it in your fingers and how bona fide transmission fluid should feel versus
you put that new fluid in there and it's kind of cool and slick, and you get some fluid that's ready to be changed. You put it and you can feel the heat build up between your fingers really fast.
I thought that was interesting.
Jeff, that was a great question, and congratulations. And really, I should be asking you a lot of questions. A 97, still doing good, not even ready for a transmission, and you've had the same truck since it was new. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And I'm going to tell you, it looks like the day I brought it home because I've heard Jim's car care tips.
Yes.
And I've done most of them myself, but he's come up with some good ideas that I've adopted. And I got to tell you, it's showroom quality. It's just sitting in the garage most of its life now because, I want to save it now.
I have seen the cars that he has detailed and done worked his magic on, and it is a beautiful thing. So you're right. That's the reason I wanted him to give those tips before.
I bet your steering wheel's not all sticky, is it, Jeff?
No. That's trick number one. Got to keep the steering wheel clean because that could be the nastiest thing in a person's car. But anyway, I'll let you guys go. I've taken all your time today.
Hey, Jeff, thanks you very much
gentlemen.
for the call. Great question, too. Thank you.
It's yours to take. See ya.